So I came across a story and thought it was a bit interesting. It comes to show you basically that you cannot appease a mob. Once things get to the stage where there are people running around with pitchforks and it's a riot, mob rule, then that's it. It's just a big ball of human energy and anything could happen. The one thing that is not going to happen is reason. Reason is gone. Once it descends to the level of a mob, the level of a riot, it's over. Just get the hell out of Dodge, get out of its way, run for the hills, because bad things inevitably happen. Here we have a story from Portland. Portland, for those of you who don't know, is a very, very left-leaning, aggressive, ultra-progressive city in Oregon. And it has suffered over the last year and a bit, almost constant riots. It's nearly the norm for Portland city centre, at least, that it's just an never-ending series of riots and looting. Antifa, Black Lives Matter, all that stuff in different shades, in different measures, on different days. It's just an absolute shit show. Good luck to anyone who has to live there, and especially good luck to anyone who's trying to operate a business there, in spite of any of the other issues which we know are with us at the moment. Here's a little ditty for you, just to highlight my point, that you really can't reason, you can't placate a mob. You never win. They don't care. It's just chaos, and you can't reason with chaos. So Apple, many of you will have iPhones and love them dearly. Apple had a store. They've got stores everywhere, but they had a nice, fully up-to-date, modern, shiny store in Portland, downtown Portland. And last year, in common with a lot of businesses, a lot of big brand businesses, you know, Nike and all these type of people, they got hammered, they got looted, they got wrecked. The store got wrecked. So, here we go, stuff like this. There you are, this the typical scene once this action starts going. Your Apple store ends up looking something like that. People just walking in and taking what they... I mean, it's expensive gear, you know. So Apple came out and they released a statement. Now this is all supposedly linked to the whole George Floyd incident. As you know, the trial is going on at the moment, so once that ends, I'm not hopeful for peace and understanding to suddenly break out. I think it's going to be a nightmare. So Apple has not released details about products lost through looting. However, the company's CEO addressed Floyd's death and the protests, this is from Newsweek, that have taken place since a message to Apple employees, which Bloomberg News obtained on Sunday. He quotes, "Right now, there is a pain deeply etched in the soul of our nation and in the hearts of millions. Stand together, we must stand up for one another and recognise the fear, hurt and outrage rightly provoked by the senseless killing of George Floyd and a much longer history of racism," he wrote. He goes on, to create change, we have to re-examine our own views and actions in light of a pain that is deeply felt, but too often ignored. issues of human dignity will not abide standing on the sidelines. So what I'm reading there is the CEO of Apple desperately trying to virtue signal to the people who are essentially just ransacking their stores at the drop of a hat, which it seems very little pushback from the police. When these things get going, as they have been going on in America now for over a year, the police seem utterly neutered, utterly unable to protect, especially businesses. They're on their own, and this smacks to me of behind the words. These, we must stand up for one another, and we have a long history of racism. This is fear. This isn't some high moral take from Apple, a corporation. Corporations aren't moral. Corporations are there to make money. They're not there to promote wokeism or some kind of lefty liberal agenda. Corporations are there to promote money for themselves, profits for themselves, their shareholders. So this is just a simple plea, a desperate plea from the Apple CEO to just please leave us alone. I'm bowing down to your views. I'm bowing down before you. Now please leave us alone. Don't come for us. This never works. You can't appease a mob. So where did it get them in the end? So Portland was ransacked last year, and what they did after the ransacking was they turned the store into a sort of a shrine. It was murals painted, and I think somebody might have started them, and they took on a life of their own. Anyway, it ended up with this big, there you go, a whole big, pretty much shrine to George Floyd, BLM, Black Lives Matter. You can see it here. The whole store became a sort of almost like a religious base to this ideology, to this movement, the one that had ransacked it. And to the point where Apple came out and said that they will preserve this art and donate the George Floyd mural to whatever cause. Apple began covering up the George Floyd. This is from Mike Rodgeway in the Oregonian. Apple began covering up the George Floyd mural on its downtown Portland store Wednesday, the first step in the company's plan to preserve and ultimately donate the historic artwork. We're going to be putting up a protective layer of plywood over the existing artwork to preserve them for future donation, Apple said in a statement to the Oregonian on Tuesday. The company said it expected to announce long-term plans for the mural next year. Apple's downtown storefront and the windows of many other downtown retailers have been boarded up for months in the wake of the Black Lives Matter protests, which are actually riots. A protest is you walk down the street with a sign. It's a protest. Or maybe you shout at somebody. That's a protest. Ransacking shops, smashing windows, grabbing and looting, that's not a protest. That's a riot. There's a difference. So I'm sorry, protests? Nah, that's not what I think of when I think of protests. I've been on protests. I haven't been on riots. But I know the difference. So that was following the police killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis. Portland artist Emma Berger began the mural on Apple's boarded up storefront on June the 1st, and it was soon augmented with other art, becoming a national symbol of the protest movement that consumed downtown last summer. Movement/riot. And this wasn't just a one-off. This went on. I was watching clips of this daily. It was just like they were just working in shifts. It's crazy. Anyway, so there you go. It started off as a thing, a kind of a Banksy, you know, it's a bit of sloganeering, and it just grew into this thing. So fair enough. So eventually Apple revamped the store. They fixed the store. They refitted it and restocked it and opened it again. With all of this stuff, the whole legacy and the whole deference to the people who had destroyed it. Now, I know what you're thinking. But how did that play out, is what you're asking. Well, I'm going to show you. So, here we go. This is how it played out. Yes, you see that fire there? Fire raging at Apple Store, Portland. Yes. Andy No says, breaking. Antifa in Portland have set the downtown Apple Store building on fire. There was security staff there. The business had only recently reopened, following months of nightly rioting. The store also turned itself into a BLM memorial, which didn't save it. Well, a close-up of the materials Antifa stacked against the downtown Apple Store before setting it on fire. The building then caught fire, and well, that's how it always goes. America is in trouble. America is coming apart, it seems. And these people seem to be able to do this with impunity. Where is law enforcement? I mean, they were able to stack all this stuff up like a bonfire on Halloween. Where were the cops? Anyway, so seems Antifa, BLM, they're all just basically just using these supposed causes as an excuse to rampage through American cities, to burn and loot shops and to just grab stuff. So yeah, BLM, you know, you think, well, it's a virtuous organization and they're fighting for this and they're fighting for that. Well, what about their leaders? What's this? Marxist BLM leader buys $1.4 million home in ritzy Los Angeles enclave. Marxist. Okay. Last time I checked, I didn't think Marxism was about buying very expensive $1 million+ mansions. There she is there. Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrice Kahn Cullors recently purchased a $1.4 million home in an exclusive Los Angeles neighborhood. Anybody ever think you're being had? A self-described Marxist. There you go. Self-described. Obviously she's a Marxist, but not every day. Oh. So what can we tell about that? For somebody that claims to love black people, it's kind of strange that she chose a place to live that's practically devoid of black people. The racial makeup of Topanga was 7,313, of which 117 are black. Yeah. All right. For all of you who gave money, this is from Anthony B. Bradley. For all of you who gave money to BLM and support it, you helped her buy a great $1.4 million home. BLM is obviously not Marxist. I think this lady is obviously not a very good Marxist. Maybe she should go back and read Das Kapital again. Yeah, so it's a 1.8% black neighborhood, i.e. it's a vastly majority white neighborhood. You know what gets me? Do you know what gets me every time with these movements? And it's, you see it again and again. The hypocrisy is just off scale with the people who seem to be at the top. It's like, do as I say, but not as I do. Rules for thee, not for me. I don't know. Anyway, so my point here is you can't appease the mob. You can't. Once things descend to that level, all reason, all logic, all virtue goes out the window. It attracts in the worst of society, who are only there to use it as a flag of convenience to commit crime, flag of convenience to rampage through settled society. You have to fight it. You have to demand of your police force that they protect you. It's what they're supposed to do. Allowing it to happen serves no purpose other than to hasten the destruction of your neighborhood and your society. And don't think putting a BLM sticker on your car or a flag in your garden or some poster in your window, don't think that's going to save you. Because with these things, it's only a matter of time before they come for you.